Welcome to the Agility in Real Life podcast, Take 5 in Real Life. Now your hosts, Mike Studeman, Jeff Lee, and Pat Campbell.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Take 5 IRL podcast. I'm Mike Studeman, one of the partners at Agility IRL, and your host for this episode.
And I'm Pat Campbell, one of the other partners and the newest one, and glad to join you today, Mike.
Yeah, I hope you're having a good day, Pat. Jeff Lee, our partner in crime, so to speak, is out working with those darn clients. They always seem to want some of our time. So our lucky listeners get you and I here today.
Well, I don't mind that at all. We got to give Jeff a break. He's been pulling hard duty with these podcasts, so he deserves a break.
Not as hard of a job as our listeners have, but I digress. Well, Pat, one of the things that you and I and Jeff wrestle with all the time is agile transformations. Not only launching them, but also fixing those that have maybe fallen into a failure mode. So I thought maybe today we talk about why transformations fail. And I'll let you get started. What's one of your top reasons why you see transformations fail in the real world?
Well, that's a great topic and a good question, Mike. What I've seen over the many transformations I've been involved with as one of the big reasons is the lack of leadership engagement and ownership of the transformation. It always seems to be something that the teams, in particular the technical teams or the marketing teams or whichever group is implementing it, is supposed to go off and do and magically improve the results the company is seeing, and not thinking about, well, how is this ultimately going to, impact the business long term and things like that.
Absolutely.
So it's that lack of leadership buy-in and support and actually ownership.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. I think another reason that transformations struggle is they don't understand the business reasons that they're doing them. As you said, it might be a marketing team, an IT team, a product development team that seeks to adopt an agile framework. Insert your favorite agile framework here, but they don't really understand what are we trying to do from a business perspective with this, because all the frameworks exist not for themselves, but for a business outcome, higher quality, faster delivery, the ability to deal with change. So to me, it's not understanding the why behind your transformation that can hurt you.
Absolutely. Even as you pointed out, that was always the original intent. And another one I've seen in parallel to that is understanding that it's not just a implementation of practices, but it's a cultural and a mindset change. And as such, needs to be approached as a change management effort, which means using things like ProSci or Cotter's approach to change and thinking about how do we change the organization, not just the practices of a team, because
Absolutely.
Otherwise it's not going to take root and impact the entire organization.
Yeah, I was teaching a class recently, and one of the participants said, "But that comes down to culture." And it was a more flippant moment. I'm like, yeah, it all comes down to culture. At the end of the day, the practices that a framework advocates or doesn't advocate is less important. It comes down to how are people going to behave, differently once they're in the middle of that transformation. So I think we have some good, I think we have some good. Are they good failure modes or bad failure modes? I guess that depends upon your perspective. So I think we have some good examples of failure modes for our viewers here. How can we as coaches help them prevent those failure modes from coming in? What are some things that we could do? And I'm teeing up a lead in from the shameless commercial department here of Agility IRL.
Well, nothing to apologize for, Mike, because we are in business to help business, right? But
absolutely.
Having been through a number of these over the years, as you and I and Jeff have been, and seeing these same reasons crop up again and again, there's a number of approaches that we've seen out there to address them, and one that we've really come to like at Agility IRL is something called Path to Agility, which is both an approach that involves looking at the entire organization and the practices and the business outcomes and so forth that you and I have been discussing, the failure modes, so to speak, and also has a corresponding tool to collect that data and manage the progress of that transformation in. And we've implemented it with customers and found great success in helping them identify where to focus, where to get started, and how to own it and improve it as they continue down that path of transformation on their own once we step away.
Yeah, I think, the big takeaways for me, being newer to the path to agility approach than you are, is one, I love the fact that it gives concrete results. I love the fact that clients can then track those results and really ensure alignment moving forward. And a big part of our philosophy at Agility IRL is, having the good grace to step away when we're no longer needed. And Path to Agility leaves the client with a way to ensure that alignment long after you, Jeff, and I have departed. So
absolutely,
as we near the end of our time together, I think I would. Well, let me turn it over to you. Any closing thoughts before I put a wrap on this first Jeff-free episode?
I think everybody should, take those failure modes that you and I discussed earlier about transformation and see how many of them that they observe in their own environment. If they're running into issues with the transformation, and if there's a plurality of them in any situation, we can certainly help you and introduce you to the approach and the tool set. And in future podcasts, I think we'd like to even share what some of those outputs even look like. So that's what I'd suggest our listeners do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, so as you suggested, look at those failure modes. Think about the alignment challenges in your organizations as it relates to those failure modes, and reach out, and don't be afraid, even as you watch this episode, to put some of the failure modes that maybe we didn't discuss in the comments, because we'd be happy to address them either outside the podcast or in a future episode.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Pat, for the time. Thanks everyone for viewing, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Mike, and good luck to Jeff wherever he is today.
May the force be with you, Jeff.
Adios.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Take5IRL podcast. If you like it, please go ahead and share it with someone, as well as like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Also, leave us a comment or a suggestion for a future episode. Again, thanks for listening, and we look forward to you joining us next time on the Take5IRL podcast.